Graham alongside Jimmy Coleman and partner. I'm excited for this one. Women's Skateboard Park Final. 12 ladies out here today. Only 4 will be moving on to X Games Minneapolis.
It is going to be a tough task out here today, taking 1/3 of the field and giving them invites to compete next month at X Games Minneapolis. Now, we've got some veterans returning to the field out here, but we've also got some up-and-coming talent as well. One of the veterans I'm referring to, Lizzie Armanto. She's no stranger to the park game. She's been here before. She knows what it takes to succeed. She was our 4th place qualifier, but one of our up-and-comers, I'm talking about 13-year-old Saber Norris. She came out here and she had an aggressive couple of runs yesterday in qualifying that included half of her run being switched. She was your top qualifier, and she looks poised right now to take the win here today.
Tech for days, and what a story for 13-year-old Saber Norris, the 2nd youngest in our finals field today, if you believe that. Minnestes at 12 has that title of being the youngest, but seemingly coming out of nowhere onto this X Games stage, and she's our top-ranked qualifier. Let's kick things off now with our athlete intros here to take a better look at our field of 12.
Well, as you mentioned, we have 12 in the field, and taking a look at the list right here, you've got one of the standouts, Sakura Yosizumi out of Japan. She was going to withdraw from competition yesterday, Brandon, and she had actually banged up her knee, and she wasn't feeling for qualifying, and she ended up stepping on the ranks, but then decided, hey, she wanted to skate after all, and she ended up stepping in and qualifying for the event.
So there we saw Hunter Long out of Honolulu, Hawaii. Zoe Stefanda out of San Rafael, California, just 14 years old.
Minnestes, who you were just talking about, at 12 years old coming into this thing. She was feeling some pressure. I was talking to her dad yesterday. She was feeling some of the jitters yesterday. She wasn't feeling 100%, but she still got out here, put down 2 solid runs. One of those was good enough to earn her a spot. She's in the final today.
And it should be noted, Minna not feeling well. I heard she had a little bit of a fever. Wasn't sure if she was going to be able to go. Excited to see her out here. How about this young lady, Sakura Yosizumi, out of Wakayama, Japan. Sakura winning the Vans Park event just a couple of weeks ago.
Coming your way right now, all the way from Florianopolis, Brazil. This is Indira Asp. She was 7th here last year at the X Games Boise Park Qualifier.
And again, our podium from last year, Jimmy, already pre-qualifying in. That's why you're not seeing people like Bright Zoyner, Tommy Star Olsen, those getting in last year via 2017.
Out of Hawaii, this is Cody Tamanaha, 1st place at the Exposure Bowl AM 14 and under division back in November of last year. So out here in Boise, doing it in the pro ranks.
And how about Hana Zansi? Again, skated quite a bit in the mid-2000s, then took a little bit of a break. We didn't see her. She made her triumphant return, dare we say, here at Rhodes Skatepark last year at her X Games debut. And needless to say, she just skates this course so differently than the rest of the field.
She's very aggressive, and she takes a hard charging attitude. She's got a high-speed line. She is a lot of fun to watch on this course. Bryce Wetstein, coming out of Encinitas, California. She has a surf-inspired style to her skating. She also competes as an AM surfer and is also sponsored by Encinitas Surfboards down in her neck of the woods there in Southern California.
What more can be said about the next competitor in our lineup, 25-year-old Lizzie Armanto, a gold medal in Park back in 2013. She's also got a silver medal from 2016, missing the podium last year. We all know about the Thrasher part from 2017, going pro on Birdhouse, just a storied career thus far.
Nicole Hawes, now this is a story right here. Why? Because she's from Stillwater, Minnesota, which is about 45 minutes to an hour drive outside of the Twin Cities. So basically, X Games Minneapolis is a backyarder for her. That's a home show. She made it into the event last year. She got a wild card last year. This year, she wants to earn her spot here in Boise, and she's got her mom and dad here today cheering her on.
Absolutely, and it seems like her best skating is in front of her. She's had a terrific start to 2018.
Well, then you've got Grace Marhofer here out of Cocoa Beach, Florida. She actually has dual citizenship, born in Russia, and moved to Florida when she was 11 months old with her adoptive parents, and she started skateboarding at age 7. With her dad teaching her some of the basics. And here we go with your top qualifier, 13-year-old Saber Norris, Brandon, out of Newcastle, Australia. This is who we were talking about at the top of the show. She did half of her runs in qualifying yesterday at switch, which is very, very technical and difficult to do.
And if she's a familiar face, at 11 years old, she became the youngest surfer ever to compete in a World Surf League event when she was a wild card at the 2016 Sydney International Pro. Excited to watch her here in today's final. Look at our format, 12 riders, 3 45-second runs. We count the single best score, and there you see at the bottom, just 4 making it on to Minneapolis.
Well, that is the mark. That is the bubble spot. We'll be saying that a lot out here today because only the top 4 are getting invited to the big party next month, which is X Games Minneapolis, going on July 19th through the 22nd. So the change today versus in qualifying, they get an extra run. It was 2 runs, and your best run counted to try to make the top 12. So today you get a bonus run, and we are going to run them in reverse order as to how they qualified. But Brandon, take a look at that list right there. Look at all the different countries that you have represented here in the women's skateboard park field.
And you know, Jimmy, this is what I love about this qualifying event. It introduces us to names here on the X Games stage that we would otherwise never get a chance to see. And that's why a beautiful story like a Saber Norris at just 13 years old took this city of Boise by storm yesterday in qualifiers.
Well, we're going to start it off with Hunter Long here. So the runs are 45 seconds in length. And, well, Brandon, the judges are going to be looking for a wide variety of things. They want to see you using the whole course. There's a lot to work with here. This is, I believe, a 1.28 acre park overall size. They want to see you using the entire course. They want to see flow, continuity. What does that mean? Well, they want to see you linking your tricks up together. They want to see how well you move through this course. And it's the overall impression that these guys are going to be looking for as we're in with Hunter Long here.
Hunter Long setting it off here in the final. We saw her here last year. Always tough to be the first one to drop in a final.
It really is, because you get out there and you're setting the pace. Not only do you have the jitters because the cameras are rolling and everybody's watching, and she gets hung up right there on that backside disaster. See what you can do, salvage this last little bit of time here. But as I was saying, you're the first person out of the gate. You're setting the pace. You're setting the vibe for how this first round of competition is going to go. So it's a little nervous. You get the jitters, trying to come back and double up on that backside disaster, and that one gets away from her 2 times there. So that'll do it for Hunter Long.
And she'll get 2 more cracks at it here in our 3-attempt final.
Well, the thing is, when you have a rough go that first time out, you have to have short-term memory loss. You just have to shake that off, completely forget about it, and then come back and just sort of refocus and redirect for round 2 and 3.
We take another look as Hunter Long's score officially coming in.
You saw right there, she got the invert in there. That was actually tuck knee, so she's grabbing with her lead hand. We call it tuck knee because that arm wraps around that knee, which is a difficult grab there on an invert. And that was right before the fall there, so it gets a little hung up on the backside disasters, but shake that off. Come back in round number 2.
A 52.33 for Hunter Long to officially set the pace. Again, we saw her in 2013 in Barcelona as an alternate, really made her X Games debut in Austin in 2016, where she finished in 6th.
She got a 5th place at the Bondi Bowl-A-Rama in February of this year, so she's definitely got the skills to do it. As we take a look at our next skater, Zoe Safonda dropping in out of San Rafael, California. So she's got 45 seconds here to try to impress the judges, working those shallow in corners there, building up some speed. Taking it with an alley-oop nose grab coming over that hip. The alley-oop, that's when you're drifting one way, but you're turning the other direction. So you're drifting the opposite direction that you're turning and trying an invert variation there. That's called an andrecht. You're grabbing with the lead hand, but you're grabbing on the backside end of the board.
And it's always the challenge is she's got about 20 seconds to play with when you do go down early in your run. Well, how do you reroute this thing?
Well, you got to
got 2 more chances.
You got to use the rest of that time, and you've got to use it as mental practice for the next 2 go-arounds. We know what we saw out of qualifying that it's going to take a complete run. You're going to have to see perfect runs in order to make that top 4 cut. So, you know, get back up. Don't just wash it out. Just use the rest of that time. Go through the motions. A lot of these girls have planned out their runs ahead of time. They've got lines they've been working on all week long. So use that extra time to go through the rest of the portion of the run and just sort of use that as bonus practice time, because you got a long time to wait with commercial breaks and whatnot before your second and third runs come up. So there, little backside grab going over the hip, little judo kick out. Watch this. There's the alley-oop I was talking about, grabbing the nose, drifting one way, turning the other.
Love the story about Zoe, 14 years old. When she was 8 at Camp Woodward, you know who her camp counselor was? Nora Vasconcelos. That's a pretty nice little coach to have.
It's not a bad mentor to have.
So there's Minna Stess, the youngest competitor in our field at 12 years old, out of Petaluma, California. As we said off the top, woke up yesterday not feeling well with the flu, so she's really feeling under the weather. We'll see if that impacts her skating at all.
So she ollies up off of that hip and goes up into a rock and roll slider. A nifty little line there, comes in on the backside disaster. So putting together some lip tricks here. She's getting into the mix with an invert as well. Again, 45-second runs out here today for the women's field.
And Jimmy, I can already see it from year to year, from 11 to 12. She's gotten a little bit taller and she's got a little bit more pace to her skating.
Coming up backwards there, the fakey 360. She's got a little bit of a grab in there. Another invert, that one was the Andrecht. We talked about that one earlier, but the front side disaster. Turning front side, land on top of the coping there. One truck over the deck, one truck in the lip. So that is going to be time for her right there. So we have yet to see anybody complete a full run here, Brandon. And as we get down to the bottom part of the run order, that is what it's going to take to try to impress these judges, get big scores. There's that ollie up to that rock and roll slider. See how she slides across that coping there. And in the deep wall, was one of two hand plants she had. That was the regular invert, and then she did an Andrecht, which was a different grab, an added degree of difficulty there towards the end of the run.
So a 59, she's got some stuff she wants to work on, but for right now, she takes over the top spot. I love the story. She actually skipped the first event of the BMX Park Series in Sao Paulo a couple of weeks ago for her 6th grade graduation.
I'd say that's an important reason to skip an event. Gotta go.
She's got her priorities straight, I'll tell you that much.
Go through the graduation process here. This is Sakura Yozozumi out of Japan. This is who I was talking about at the top of the show. She was going to withdraw from qualifying yesterday. She banged up one of her knees, wasn't feeling 100%. After she watched the first heat of skating, she said, hey, you know what? I think I'm going to get back in here and give it a go. And here she is in the final, Brandon.
Yeah, and speaking of the BMX Park Series, Sakura won in Sao Paulo just a couple of weeks ago. So she's definitely got a target on her back out here today at Rhodes.
Well, watching her in practice and watching her in qualifying yesterday, she's very methodical at what she does. She's got a very, very good line that she's been working on throughout practice and into yesterday's competition. And as I say that, she just gets hung up there on the lip, on the deep end with a couple seconds left. That shouldn't affect the score too bad, but again, as I mentioned before, the judges want to see you making complete runs. That's what it's going to take to try to impress the judges here today, trying to earn one of those 4 coveted spots in Minneapolis.
Just see the Japanese talent on both sides, the men and women's, when it comes to really all of the skateboard disciplines. And this is always a great reminder that both park and street will be making their Olympics debut in Tokyo, Japan 2020.
That fakey nose blunt there, that was what the reaction you heard from some of the other competitors in the field when she made that lip trick right before the fall right there. So that'll slide her up into the #1 position as of right now, Brandon, with that 77.33.
Really solid score for Yozozumi. Here's Indiara Asp, 20 years old, out of Florianopolis, Brazil.
The only woman officially on the Santa Cruz skate team as of September of last year. Watch her style, look at her speed. She skates a little bit faster than what we've seen out of the other competitors in the field thus far. Backside bonus up on that wall with a layback air. It's technically a hand plant. We call it a layback air. You plant your hand, just kind of roll around off the coping there. So far, so good, Brandon, as she works her way back up the high side or the shallow side of the course, if you will. Backside ollie coming over that wedge hip, taking it front side there back into the deep end.
You got to dig this style with the blue bandana out the back pocket.
She's got to hang on for a couple more seconds.
Oh.
A little loose in the flat bottom there, but she stays on and she steps out with a couple of seconds left. That was a great run there for Indira.
We saw Indy last year. She finished in 7th at the qualifier, so she did not earn a spot to X Games Minneapolis, but she's been out here very frequently over the week getting the reps in. She wants to get to X Games.
All right, so early on the run, the backside bonus. Watch that back foot. That one was floating around a little bit. Saw a little bit of daylight between that foot and the grip tape. There's the layback air, making that one look way, way too easy there. Slob plant. And right here, she comes off with, right there, you see the truck's got a little loose in the flat bottom there, but she hangs on there. She actually spends a lot of time training with 6 times X Games Park gold medalist Pedro Barros.
Yeah, you could see that in her skating.
Wow.
Able to ride that through an 81.33 for Asp as she takes over the top spot.
So very nice run there for Indiara. As we take a look at Cody Tamanaha out of Hawaii. 6th place at the Vans Park Series Global in Huntington Beach, August of last year, and she's in for her first of 3 here, Brandon.
Yeah, Cody's sponsored and mentored by Christian Hosoi, riding for Hosoi Skateboards.
Well, there's some of that Christian Hosoi style right there. She does that rock and roll slider through the deep end there, around the corner, and she traveled a pretty good chunk of real estate right there. She slid through, and she is not able to hang on there. A lot of time still left in the clock. There's about 30 seconds left at the fall.
Just 14 years old. Again, if you're just joining us, 12 women here in the final. Just 4 will be earning spots to X Games Minneapolis as we're in the midst of run 1 of 3.
Yeah, and again, with the best run format, you know, you can use this as a dry run if it doesn't work out for you. Like we said before, just want to shake that off. Don't stress about it too much. Just go through the rest of the portion of the run with the time that you've got left. Go through it in your mind. But that was a great way to get back up and finish after the fall.
I totally agree, and especially for an X Games rookie, you may have dropped into a park 1,000 times, but until the lights go on and they say action and you've got the fans out here with a possible spot to X Games Minneapolis, nerves absolutely come into play.
Oh, she did that. She did the rock and roll slider over the love seat. I didn't see that at real-time speed. That little portion that sticks out right there. The love seat feature, that's something that you would see in an actual swimming pool, and it's part of the park feature here at Rhodes Skate Park in Boise. So again, going back to that rock and roll slider, not only did she take it a long distance, she took it over the love seat there, Brandon, so extra degree of difficulty.
This is just a great park, Rhodes Skate Park here in downtown Boise, Idaho, and it was just announced right before we went on air that we're going to be back here next year.
I heard that. The mayor came out and said that we're going to do it all over again, so looking forward to coming back out here for year number 3.
So here's Hana Zansi with the pink mustache that appears to be drawn on. Out of Huntington Beach, California. You like powerful, fast style? I present to you Hana Zansi.
Yeah, she will just go flying through this course. She's very aggressive, and she's also got some pretty unique lip tricks that she will throw into the mix as well. She's got that all or nothing kind of style. She's either going for first or last, Brandon. That's basically how she looks at that.
And she was really going for a trick. It was almost at the demise of her runs in Minneapolis, if you remember, but she was trying to put on a show for the fans. We had some really cool features on that course. She wants to skate her way, that's for sure.
Blunt to finger flip to rock and roll out. So that's a 3 trick in 1 combo, and that's some of that unique stuff that I was talking about earlier. Backside disaster, she kicks that one over frontside Smith there. So again, 2 tricks in 1 on that combo there. So that is a solid run there for Hana Zansi. And you know our judging panels, guys like Neil Hendricks, Jason Rothmeyer, they love to see this bag of tricks because you're just not seeing them from the rest of the field. You see on that frontside, Aaron, right there, she kind of like tweaks that back knee and gets the knee on the grip tape. So added style points on that frontside air. Gets up into a frontside axle stall, grabs frontside, pops off of that back into the transition. But watch this one, into the blunt, finger flip. That's awesome. And then comes out with the rock and roll. So a 3 trick in 1 combo right there for Hana Zansi. What's that do for her? A 78.66. That'll put her up in 2nd place as of right now. You got Asp, Zansi, and Yosozumi, your top 3 as of right now, Brandon.
The Boise State Bronco out in the crowd. There's Bryce Wetstein out of Encinitas making her X Games debut. Plenty of top 5 finishes over the last year. One of those being at the Vans Park Series Global in Sao Paulo earlier this month, Brandon. She also competes as an AM surfer, sponsored by Encinitas Surfboards. Frontside disaster up on the vert wall there, takes it backside on rounded wall. She prefers the pool coping. You've got the pool coping, which is the concrete stuff, the type that you'd see in an actual swimming pool, and then you've got the metal coping. She says she's more of a fan of the pool coping. So there you see, I agree with you, Bryce. It makes a really nice barking sound when you're riding on that stuff. At 14 years old, it should be noted, 7 of the 12 finalists out here are teenagers, and they're all age 16 or younger. We always talk about the youth movement year after year, every discipline. Never truer than the women's park scene right now. You know, and they really stepped it up. I mean, last year was really impressive. Oh, with the 50-50 to Fakie, and she too takes it over the love seat right there. The 50-50, it's a double truck grind, and Fakie means she comes in backwards. And going back to that pool coping discussion, that is hard to slide off of when you're on that pool coping. Right at the buzzer, love it. Kiara Osp, still our current leader with that 81.33. Hanazansi right behind her with that 78.66. We're not giving out medals today. We're just giving out passes to X Games Minneapolis.
It's the pass that you need to get to the place where you can get the medal in a month from now. You got to do some work before you can get into the work, basically.
Judges really taking their time on this one with Wetstein. And the score coming in at 60.66, good enough for 5th place. We move on to Lizzie Armanto. Finished in 6th last year at X Games Minneapolis. She's got a gold and she's got a silver medal. But let's hear Lizzie in her own words as she prepares for X Games.
This park is really good. It's huge. Like, there's so many things and like nooks and crannies here, and I'd never been to the park, and so I watched like a video from last year of the men's contest and just kind of got a feel for what they were doing. When I get to a new park, I'll usually watch a couple people's lines. You know, you don't start out doing the hardest trick, you work into it, and then you have an idea of what would be good for where. Certain walls are like more mellow or have less transition, and everyone rides it differently. My approach is, if I skate and feel good, the next thing will come, and kind of being present and focused.
Yeah, Jimmy, Lizzie had already automatically qualified for Minneapolis last year, so she did not skate in this event in 2017. And as you heard her say, first time skating here in Boise at Rhodes Skateboard.
Oh no! Got a little loose there going through the flat. He gets thrown off the board there, so that is a tough way to start for Lizzie.
Uncharacteristic, really the veteran of this field, going down early.
Well, she was very consistent in practice and in her qualifying runs yesterday. As I mentioned before, you get 2 runs in qualifying, you get 3 here in the final, but with best run that counts. It's going to happen sometimes, but again, with her veteran experience, she knows what it takes to get in.
She goes down again. Tough run 1, but that's why we've got 3 attempts here in the final.
Yeah, that's why they give you that bonus run in the final. But you can hear the reaction from the fans here in Boise. Definitely some Lizzie Armanto supporters out there here today.
How can there not be? What a special couple of years Lizzie has had. Obviously the Thrasher video part. Fire. She got the Thrasher cover in April of 2017, went pro for Birdhouse.
Yeah, March of last year, Bones had a signature wheel released February of this year for her.
A lot of good stuff happening for Lizzie Armanto. We expect her to be in that top 4 when it's all said and done, but she's got to clean some stuff up on her next run.
The look on her face, she was kind of like, okay, not sure what just happened there. It's all right, Lizzie.
So here's Nicole Haas out of Stillwater, Minnesota. She was certainly the local girl at X Games Minneapolis. We saw her in this event last year, didn't qualify, but got the wild card spot. But man, her skating has grown exponentially over the last year, Jimmy.
Okay, look at the speed again. Look at how fast she rolls through this course here. And watch for her on these pocket airs on the deep end corner. She does a big air. There's a backside air. She's got right here. She does the same line that she did yesterday qualifying. She moves the big front side air going into this deep corner. Oh, the backside volley. So no, it's an air with no grab.
No one has skated this park more in the field than Nicole. She got here a week early, been here 10 days.
Oh no! There's the front side air I was talking about. She was 2 for 2 on those yesterday, and that one just gets away from her. And it's hard to tell with the camera angle there, but she boosts out of that deep end. I mean, that is a boosting front side air.
Nicole, so fun to watch on this course.
There you go.
Gets it as time expires, but again, just like Lizzie, we know what we can expect out of her. She can clean it up on run number 2.
Taking a look here, this is start off really with the frontside ollie over that hip and traveled quite a good chunk of distance there. So a backside air on one of those vert walls. And then this, the ollie, she almost looked like she wanted to grab and then thought twice about it there, Brandon. You see that hand? It was going for the nose of the board, almost like she wanted to grab and then went, wait, I want to do an ollie here. The frontside air got away from her.
The worst place to be indecisive is mid-air.
When you're rolling up the lip and you're like, am I going to grab, am I not going to grab? Either way, it was a pretty nice looking backside ollie, but she's thinking about that frontside air right now.
Nicole Haas has many a fan here in downtown Boise. We turn our attention now to Grace Marhofer making her X Games debut. As you said at the beginning, has dual citizenship between Russia and the United States, calls Cocoa Beach, Florida home.
on the lip. Started skating at age 7, as I mentioned. We're looking at the athlete list at the top of the show. Got invited to a birthday party at a skate park and had her dad teach her some of the basics before the party so she wouldn't be embarrassed. And here she is in 2018, competing in the Road to X Games Boise qualifier.
And she may be making her debut, but man, she looks confident out there, Jimmy.
So with the tuck knee invert, so again, grabbing around that lead knee, but she pokes out that back leg and the nose pick. Going up and stalling on the front trunk right there and trying to grab what we call Indy. She wanted to hop off of the lip and come back into the transition there. Sorry. She had some issues with that yesterday in qualifying, but if she could just clean that up. And she was our #2 qualifier. If she can clean that up, she could earn herself one of these 4 spots up for grabs.
Well, if you're just joining us, Indiara Asp out of Brazil with that 81.33 on her first attempt gave her the lead, and there's been no looking back as we're rounding out run #1 of 3 here at Rhodes Skate Park. We take another look.
Thanks everyone for being here on hand.
End up in the bean plant, jumping through to the backside bonus there, the 2-in-1 combo move on the foot plant. Watch that back leg. See how she tries to straight leg that one out. Little added style points on the tuck knee invert there for Grace.
A 71.66, that puts her into 4th place. That's where you want to be, that top 4 when it's all said and done. Saber Norris, our top ranked qualifier, 13 years young, the 2nd youngest competitor in this field, absolutely took the city of Boise by storm yesterday in qualifying.
Did you see the look of concentration on her face as she started this off? This girl is ready to put down some business here. Here's the air to fakie setup. So now she's skating backwards. This is switch. She's skating her opposite direction that she normally does, and she did half of her run switch yesterday.
Whoa!
And now she's back to her regular stance there.
Again, we talk about making her X Games debut. She's already got a WSL appearance under her belt. This is nothing.
Well, she's trying to pick up where she left off in qualifying yesterday, trying to jump back up into that top spot there. And oh, the 50-50 fake. You can hear those trucks just scratching on that pull coping and making that noise. Now she's skating switch again here. So that is a switch blunt 180. So again, with the technical combos for her, and that is going to do it. A complete run. She's picking up exactly where she left off in qualifying yesterday, Brandon. A Saber Norris.
A savvy vet, the smallest competitor in this field, just 4'5", so commanding out here. And I don't mean to be a prisoner of the moment because we talk about her age and how good she looks, lest we forget. Brighton Zoyner won a gold medal in this event at X Games Minneapolis at 13 years and a day last summer.
Did a switch tuck knee invert. 50-50 to fakie there over the love seat as well. Switch blunt, grabs 180, grabs and 180s out of that. And
whoa, an 85.33 for Norris as she skyrockets up to the top spot. Wow.
Did you see how determined she was before that run? And now all of a sudden, like, the color comes back to her face, and she's just calm, cool, and collected now that the run's out of the way.
So we're 1 run in here at the Road to X Games Women's Skateboard Park Final, and it's Saber Norris picking up where she left off from yesterday's qualifier. She's got the top spot, but again, the top 4 will be moving on to X Games Minneapolis. Right now, Yo Suzumi is holding on to that 4th spot. But some highlights from run #1. We begin with Hanazansi sitting in 3rd. Of course, Indy Asp, who was holding the lead for most of round #1 until Saber Norris dropped in for her attempt. So just like that, we reset and move on to run #2.
Well, now we've started to see the bigger picture starting to unfold, how these scores are looking like, telling the tale of who's going to get one of those 4 invites to Minneapolis. However, it is far from over. Remember, with 3 runs, it is your best run, and that counts as Hunter Long had some issues there in that first run, trying to shake that off and put together a full 45 seconds here in round #2, Brandon.
Hunter Long currently in 10th place, trying to replace that 52.33, but right now as we move through the comp, that bubble number to keep your eye on is 4th place. Sakurua Yosizumi is in that spot. 77.3 is what she would need to best to jump into that top 4.
Well, it's Hunter Long that had issues with the backside disaster there in round number 1, so she gets over that hurdle. Does a different invert variation this go around. She did an eggplant, but then tried a third invert variation with the front side invert, and that one gets away from her here in round 2.
So that'll do it for her 2nd attempt as the buzzer goes off. Hunter Long absolutely putting pressure on herself for her 3rd and final attempt.
It's going to put her in an uncomfortable spot because if you get into that last round and you have to get it done, that's when things get a little dicey. There's the tough knee invert there. Front side air going from high to low, coming off that vert wall extension. There's the eggplant. It's an invert, but basically you're planting with your lead hand versus your trailing hand.
So her score improves to 58, but she doesn't move up the standings as Minna Stess is in front of her at 9th with that 59.
Yeah, and you can see she's got that look on her face. She's thinking about it now. So she got the pressure cooker situation getting into round number 3.
Here's Zoe Safanda. She's sitting in 12th place. Did not have a clean run right out the gate. How does she knock out that 37.66?
She got that backside nose grab, a little judo kick out. We saw that in round 1. There's that Ellie 270 backside grab. No, actually grabbing like right on the nose. So styling that one out. Oh, and the Andract. Again, it's an invert. You're taking your lead hand and you're planting it in front of your lead foot or sometimes behind that foot. I believe she grabbed behind the foot this go around with the Andract. She got it in round 1. Couldn't get it done here in run 2.
Final 10 seconds for Zoe.
This one's going to be a toss-away run for her, too, so she's going to put herself in that pressure cooker situation, just like Hunter Long. Looking a little dejected about that run as she walks out of the park. It's all right, though. You've got one more round, Zoe. You see in round number 3.
So a 34 for Zoe, that score coming in. She'll hold on to her first run score, but 12th place is where she will stay. We move now to Minna Stess, the youngest competitor in our field at just 12 years old. As she gets ready to drop in. See Zoe.
Zoe's still thinking about that run.
Downtrodden, but here's Minna. She didn't qualify into X Games Minneapolis, but did show up as an alternate. It was pretty neat as you talked to her and her parents about just that experience of being at the big show at US Bank Stadium last summer.
Well, she definitely looks like she's feeling a little bit more today than what we saw yesterday. She's got more of a smile to her face. She looked a little nervous yesterday. There's the invert going up for the backside air into a backside disaster. So grabbing and then throwing the board down on the lip. A little 2-for-1 combo move there from Minna. There's that Fakey Butte 360. Oh, and the Andrick gets away from her as well. So the hand plants have been the undoing for some of these women in the field out here in the early rounds, Brandon.
And again, Minna Stess not feeling well the last couple of days. Woke up yesterday with the flu. Wasn't sure if she was going to give it a go. Just having her out here competing, I think, is a win in everyone's book. But you talk to her now, even at 12, it's not a joke. Last year was about experiencing and being out here. Now you talk to her, the competitive fire's there. I want to go to X Games and not just be a visitor. I want to be there competing.
See on the replays there, that ollie up to rock and roll slider there. Comes up, Fakey, grabs Butte. 360 air, also known as the gate twist there in the deep end.
So Stess's score coming in at 57. She'll hold on to that 59. 9th place is where she'll stay.
She's smiling though. I didn't see a lot of that yesterday, so she's obviously feeling it a lot more today. I was talking to her father yesterday. He said, yeah, she's feeling a little under the weather, so she's definitely feeling better out here today, and we look to see more out of her in round number 3.
So here's Sakaru Yosizumi. Sitting in that 4th place spot, that is our bubble spot. She wants to give herself a little bit of room. Again, the top 4 will be moving on to X Games Minneapolis. Front
Frontside 50-50 for her there. Frontside 5-0 coming out of the deep end with a backside air. Coming over that hip, working her way up to the shallow end portion of the course. And again, going back to the story we told about her in round number 1, frontside ollie tail smack. She withdrew herself from qualification yesterday and then decided the last second she was going to skate. Finds herself here in the final.
And Sakaru has the chops, Jimmy. As we said just a couple of weeks ago in Sao Paulo at Vans Park Tour, she beat Bryce Wetstein, she beat Lizzie Armano and Poppy Star Olsen.
And that is a complete run for her right there. Wow, so she was in force, she was on the bubble spot. This is going to be an improvement on that 77.33 for sure.
Do you think this is enough to challenge Saber for that top overall spot?
I don't think it's enough to challenge Saber for that top overall spot. However, it's going to get her out of fourth for sure. Backside air with an alley-oop. Alley-oop, we talked about that earlier. You're drifting the opposite direction that you're turning frontside ollie. She smacks the tail ever so slightly right there. Makes it look stylish. Right here, she does a switch stance. She got up into a grind on that, but switch stance right up there on the tile, on the pool coping almost.
Whoa, an 83.33. You called it, partner. Jumping her up in the second. Not enough to push Norris, but gives herself some breathing room.
Again, telling that story again, she was going to withdraw yesterday from competition and decided at the last second she was going to skate.
Here's Indy Osp. Was leading for most of run 1 before Saber Norris took it from her. She's now in 3rd place.
That's still a prime spot to be right now. Remember, there's 4 spots up for grabs. However, with the rest of the field still to go in another round of runs, you would like to give yourself some more breathing room. So there's that layback here again. She's 2 for 2 on those out here today, Brandon.
Yeah, so far picking up where she left off from her first attempt.
So appears to be essentially the same line we saw the first go around. Let's see if she can overcome the hurdles that she had in that first round. Backside ollie, hip coming back into the deep end there. She's just got to hang on, trail slide. So you're sliding front side, you're taking your trailing hand and you're grabbing around your front foot there.
Final 5 seconds.
Come on, Indy, hang on for this one, get a complete rundown. And there we go, she cleaned it up. She got it done there when she needed to, so round 2 is a success here for Indiara Osp out of Florianopolis, Brazil.
And as you said, coached by a park legend, Pedro Barros.
There's that layback air. She's made 2 of those out here today. Tuck the front side air, taking it over that hip into slob plant there. So the line is working out for her. There's that trail slide. So threw a brand new one into the mix there here for round number 2.
And we've seen the growth in 81.66, so she ups her score, not enough to move up in the standings, but she's got to be feeling good sitting in 3rd. But again, wasn't able to qualify out last summer when we met her here at the qualifier. Totally different story, in control, currently in the top 4 here in 2018.
Yeah, she had to settle for 7th place out here last year.
We now drop Cody Tamahanaha, sitting in 7th place, trying to replace that 61 here on her 2nd attempt.
She's got a pretty solid line that she's been working through throughout practicing and qualifying. She gets that rock and roll slider at the deep end. She had some hang-ups that first time around. Let's see if she can clean it up here in round number 2. Lofts of front side air in the deep end. Stylish, making it look good. Front side disaster, so working the vert portion of the course here. Lengthy grind up on that red parking curve there. She's got a handful of seconds left here, 15 seconds. You see the front side disaster, she gets the backside version right there. Then this front side Smith grind, and she brings this one all the way around into the revert. Shove it to hang up there, so there you go, a complete run here for Cody Tamanaha.
A full pool for Cody, much better than what we saw out of run number 1. Curious to see how the judges score this one.
Well, you look at Hannah Zanzi sitting in that bubble in 4th place as of right now with that 78.66 there. Rock and roll slider up and over that love seat again. You got to get away, you got to get around that thing. Don't want to come down on that. Front side disaster. She's got the vert wall tricks down. And And this one right here, frontside Smith grind, and she brings this one all the way around, so she comes out backwards. We call that a revert. Then the shove it there with the hang up. This one's going to get interesting here with the score, Brandon.
As you said, Zancy holding on to 4th spot, and Cody with a 76, not enough on the outside looking in, currently in 5th place.
So Hannah Zanzi sitting in that 4th place position as of right now with a 78.66. We'll see what she can add into the mix here this go around, Brandon.
Yeah, trying to give herself a little bit more of a comfort zone and possibly move up in the standings. You want to be in the top 4, but you don't want to be in 4th with still plenty of contest yet to come.
Frontside nose pick, so she gets up on that front truck right there and grabs what we call frontside, hops off and back into the transition with a big frontside alley over the hip to get things started. And the alley-oop boneless. Boneless is a foot plant variation, but as you watch her ride through this course, you watch her flow through this thing, she skates with so much power, Brandon.
Yes. Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth. And that's evident. This park is really catered to her skating.
Big frontside air on the deep wall. A couple of seconds left here. Let's see what she puts on the end of the run. And with a couple of seconds left, she's going to wave that one off.
So does that best her run 1, Jimmy?
This, I don't know. They want to see you use all that time. I mean, granted, not to pick it apart, there were only a couple of seconds left, but still, they want to see you use that full 45 seconds.
Yeah, no free lunches handed out by this esteemed judging panel out here. It's the same judges that we see out at X Games Minneapolis. They're out here for the qualifier, a 73.33, so not able to best her run 1 score. 4th place is where she'll stay.
I'm telling you, when you get out and there's still time on that clock, whether it's 5 seconds, 3 seconds, they will punish you for that. They want to see you use all of the course. They want to see you use all of the time that you have on the clock.
Bryce Wetstein skated so well in qualifiers. Right now she's sitting in 8th place, trying to replace that 60.66.
All right, taking it front side ollie over that hip. Bryce is another one that's got some high-speed lines on this course. She likes grinding on that pool coping. It's one of her favorites that she lists with the backside disaster. Little backside air grabber going over that hip. She's got lots of different air combos and some lip tricks in her arsenal tricks.
Bryce out of Encinitas, California, just such a hotbed for park skaters right now.
See what you can do with this last 10 seconds here, Brandon. Try to work some stuff into the deep in there. There's that 50-50 to fakie again. It's a double truck grind coming around the corner, around that love seat feature that sticks out from the left. Oh, the lip slide revert.
Yes, Bryce.
Bryce adding another one into the mix. The lip slide reverts.
What a run for Bryce Wetstein on her 2nd attempt.
She is very happy about that, and rightly so. Mom Donna coming over, giving her a hug. And remember, you've got that love seat. You've got that piece of the corner wall there that's jutting out that you have to grind over when they go through that corner wall. So the 50-50, and comes in off of pool coping, sliding that one in, and fakie bean, she comes down backwards. Cab axle stall out of that one. And then, so it was a combo line. So she gets the cab axle stall, then the frontside lip slide revert out of that. So a 3-in-1 combo there for Bryce Wetstein.
Massive score for Wetstein, an 80. That bumps out Zancy as she takes over that 4th spot.
Oh, it's a chess match now, Brandon.
Again, if you're just joining us, the top 4 from today's qualifier will move on to X Games Minneapolis. Lizzie Armanto, she's currently in 11th place, just had trouble staying on her board on run number 1.
Yeah, early on, right at the beginning of the run, she had a fall, and that just threw her off her game. And based off of what we saw her in qualifying, as well as throughout practice, that's about to go away here in these next 40 seconds. You can see here, she dropped in, she just kind of made that face like, okay, forget about round 1. The front side Smith grind up on that vert wall there, follows it up with a front side tail slide.
Already much better than what we saw out of Lizzie from run number 1.
She's gotten through the hurdle portion of things that she had trouble with in round number 1, coming down on the final 20 seconds. See what you can do in the deep end with an invert, with a front side invert, grabbing tuck knee. So we have yet to see anyone pull a front side invert in the women's competition out here thus far, Brandon.
Looks like she'll have time for one more trick, Jimmy.
Front side 50-50. She'll get one more right here and just carve through the rollers there, and that is going to do it. So, like I said, based off the consistency that we've seen out of her all weekend long, she just had to shake off that round 1 score.
And it's building blocks. It's setting that foundation. She didn't have the run 1 that she was looking for. Let's put together a clean run.
So there's the front side invert. She comes up that wall. She's grabbing tuck knee. So that's hard to do in that invert variation. You see how compressed she was on the wall. I don't know if that's going to be enough with the volume and variety of tricks in that run.
That's what I was going to ask. A 74.33. So it was a clean run for Lizzie, but were there enough tricks in that attempt? So here's Nicole Haas. Finished just outside of the podium in X Games Minneapolis, 4th place in her home state. She wants to get back there. She's got to do it right here, right now, sitting in 9th place.
Well, she's got the skills to do it. She was one of our top 4 qualifiers coming into this thing. She just has to clean up a couple of things. She basically has to do what she's done in practice and what she did in qualifying yesterday.
She's had a great start to her season, a couple of 1st place finishes, Vert Attack in Malmö, Sweden, and then the Vans Girl Combi Pool Classic in March.
Yeah, she's got some pretty impressive vert skills. And that's exemplary of it right there. There's the backside ollie again.
And she made it look so easy. That's the thing. It's like effortless for her.
Well, she didn't second guess it that time around and go for the pseudo grab. There's that front side. Remember, that's what she fell on in round number 1. So a super tall invert. Got a little squirrely coming down the transition out of that one, and that is going to do it there for Nicole Haas.
Haas trying to catch Bryce Wetstein in that 4th spot, who had an 80. She would need to best an 80 to crash that qualifying party.
Yeah, and again, I don't know that this will be enough. She had that one spot in the run where she did pop out onto the lip and have to reset. Look at this. Backside ollie, no grab. Making that one look picture perfect. Backside grab air. Here's the frontside air that did her in round number 1. She gets it down clean here in round number 2. I don't think this is going to be enough to get her up into that top 4, though, Brandon. She's going to have to bring a few more things into the mix into that run.
You called it a 77.66. That puts her into 6th place. She's got her work cut out for her for 3rd and final run. Grace Marhofer, she's sitting in 9th, got that 71.66. It was a fairly clean run number 1, but given the scores we're seeing now on 2nd attempt, she's jumped all the way down to 9th place.
Well, what we've seen happen here in this 2nd round is they're cleaning up their runs here. They're adding some different combinations into the runs here, so she's going to have to step it up here and do the same. Grew up skating at her local Cocoa Beach skate park and also the skate park of Tampa down there in her home state of Florida.
Skating for Alva Skateboards.
Coming back frontside ollie over that hip. Back in the deep end here. Will ollie up into a frontside Smith with a quick frontside disaster out of that one. And there's that tuck knee invert we saw to her in the 1st round where she points out that back leg. Now the nose pick, this ended up, she had to jump off the board on that one in the 1st run. She got a little hung up on it that time around. She was trying to get that front truck in the right spot where she wanted to be to grab and pull back into the transition. And there with a tuck knee eggplant.
After the buzzer, though.
Yeah, I don't know if they'll score that. You pretty much got to be going off the wall when the buzzer sounds for that last one to count.
And that's something that should be noted, and I think the veterans in this format understand that timing is everything, and they'll have their runs timed to perfection. At 15 years old, Grace Marhofer making her X Games debut. Sometimes just that clock gets away from you as we take a look at this.
Right here, this was the hang-up. She got hung up. Yeah. She was out of position with that front truck on the nose pick, and she grabbed Indy, so it's her trailing hand grabbing around the knee, but she didn't like where that truck was, so she spent a couple of seconds hanging on to that to hop back in. So had that not been there, she might have got that eggplant in before the buzzer.
Again, Marhofer sitting in 9th, trying to replace that 71.66. She does that at 77.33, but it only moves her up into 7th place.
And there you have score coming in 77.33.
So we move on to our current leader, 13-year-old Saber Norris. She was our top-ranked qualifier, came out here with all the confidence in the world on run number 1, put down that ridiculous 85.33. She's standing at the top, Jimmy.
And she is in the driver.
Oh
my twist!
gosh!
I did not see that in qualifying. I did not expect that at all. By the way, she's skating switch again. I did not. Where did that come from?
That was too heavy, too early, Saber.
Well, hey, good on you doing that right out of the gate at the beginning of the run. That completely blew me out of the water. I didn't even see her try that in practice yesterday.
Saber, you're already in the top spot. My goodness.
She's just trying to seal the deal right now, Brandon. So here we got that 50-50 fakie. She's skating switch here again. So a switch frontside air, switch backside air. Her regular stance, or her stance is regular, which means she skates with her left foot forward is her preferred stance.
Jimmy,
wow.
There's nothing more to say. At 13 years old, making her X Games debut here in Boise, no one is more impressive today in this field than young Saber Norris.
To see replays here. So right out of the gate, the big twist. That's
got us out of our seats.
That's 1.5 times around, ladies and gentlemen. 50-50 to fakie. She's just the 3rd woman to land a 540, FYI.
Just casually tossing that in on her 2nd run while she's in the lead.
There's that switch blunt grab to 180 out again. Oh, we're into the 90s, buddy.
90.66 for Saber Norris. Get out of here. Wow, just lapping this field. I mean, these girls are trying to get in the top 4, and it's Saber Norris just continuing to climb up the scoring here today. And what a magical moment it's been thus far for the 13-year-old Saber Norris with the top spot through 2 runs. And it's Bryce Wetstein holding on to that 4th spot with an 80. Remember, the top 4 will be moving on to the final. It's 3rd and final run time when we return here at the Qualifier in X Games Boise. Welcome back to the Road to X Games. It's our Women's Skateboard Park Final coming to you from Rhodes Skatepark in downtown Boise, Idaho. Brandon Graham alongside Jimmy Coleman. It's been such a show, and our headliner is 13-year-old Saber Norris. Let's head down to the 3rd member of our team, Diana Dahlgren, who's with Saber.
A solid run, pulling in a 90.33 on that 2nd run. First 540 thrown here at the Qualifier today. You got to be feeling great.
I'm feeling pretty good. I'm pretty happy that I landed it. I just wanted to do it for the legends out there and for my siblings back home.
Well, congratulations. She's feeling good heading into her 3rd run. Brando, take it away.
Wow. Just so confident and collected. It lies beyond her years. I feel like we keep saying it over and over again. It's so impressive to see what this young lady's doing out here today.
She threw that for the legends and her siblings back home. That was the greatest tribute for that I think I've ever heard.
So here is a look at our start list now for the 3rd and final run, kicking things off. Hunter Long, if you're just joining us, the top 4 from today's qualifier will be moving on to X Games Minneapolis. So much at stake in this 12-lady field. Just 4 moving on, so cutthroat. And it's Bryce Wetstein who's holding on to that 4th and final bubble spot that we'll be keeping eyes on throughout the day. Hunter Long will set it off here for her final attempt. Hasn't had the runs we've been expecting from her. She put down a 58 on run number 2, but a lot of work cut out for her, Jimmy, as she's sitting in 11th.
Yeah, as we get into this third and final run, the pressure is on. You mentioned Bryce Wetstein sitting in that bubble spot. That was Bryce there in the blue helmet that was giving Hunter the high five, giving her a little props before she drops in for this run here. So there's that tuck knee invert. So pretty much electing to stick with the same line that she ran with the first 2 times out. Backside Smith there up on that deep end wall on the pool coping. There's the backside disaster, and again she had got hung up on that trick in run 1, and it gets her again here in run number 3.
Just a tough one today for Hunter Long. Showed so much promise, had a 5th place finish at this event last summer. We expected her to be a force out here today, and just had trouble staying on her board.
She's also a vert skater as well. Finished 4th place at the Vert World Championships at Nanjing, China back in September of last year. So some days it works out, Brandon, and some days it doesn't. Today was a tough day there for Hunter Long, but we'll be seeing more of her future women's park events. The backside disaster just got the better of her out here today.
And I can't help but think, you know, this entire field just saw what Sabre Norris did. Does that become contagious? Does the adrenaline get caught? Or does that sort of put everything into perspective for them, going, clearly we're chasing Sabre Norris?
Sometimes someone comes out and puts down a run like that, and everyone else starts feeding out of this energy. So we'll have to see. We have 11 more skaters to go.
Zoe Savanda sitting in 12th place, has had a 37.66 and a 34 through her first 2 runs.
She did not like the outcome of that second attempt. You can see after that run, she was definitely thinking about, so looking to clean it up here in this third and final round. Just had to step off there, rolling through the flat bottom, but manages to hang on. There's a backside ollie coming up over the hip. And as she gets back into the vert wall, that one's gonna get away from her. This will pretty much put a cap on her afternoon as well.
Again, such a youth movement out here. So much of the field just teenagers, and most of them, 7 of the 12 teens, and they're all 16 years or younger, this field.
Hey, the youth is the trend here in women's skateboard park. You know, and another thing to think about too that we haven't talked about yet at all is with, you know, skateboard park being in the Olympics coming up in Japan in 2020. You know, a lot of these women in the field have to have their heads wrapped around that, trying to represent their countries and, you know, get into the first ever skateboard Olympics.
We talk so much about the women's field, just in skateboarding in general, and we just had X Games Norway we were out there for in Oslo a few weeks ago, and we talked about perhaps the women's street field being as good as it's ever been. You can absolutely say that for the ladies of Park as well, as Minna Stess drops in.
Most definitely. I remember we were talking about that out here last year, just the progression of the women's field, and Minna with that ollie up to rock and roll slider. She's 3 for 3 on those here in this competition.
So Minna's in 10th place right now. Again, hasn't been feeling well, was under the weather with the flu, just out here competing is a success, but she wants to get into that top 4.
All right, coming up faking the deep in there with the gate twist again. So she's 3 for 3 on that trick out here as well. This could shape up to be the best of her 3 runs.
Final 10 seconds for Minna.
That front side disaster. Oh, and she tried to kickflip over the hip, so that's a brand new one. She tried to throw something else into the mix. That's what you got to do when it comes out this third and final run. You got to change it up a little bit. She's playing the mind game, Brandon.
Absolutely. I got to give props to Minna Stess on that. She put it out there, and you might say, well, that stung her potentially, but she also said, hey, look, I'm going to get in that top 4. I've got to get at least an 80 here. I've got to shake things up.
She's smart enough to know that you need to take those kinds of risks because, you know, going with the run that she had, she saw where it put her. And she says, all right, I need to do something different. So that's some great strategy, some awareness at such a young age.
The youngest competitor in our field, just 12 years old. She does put down her best run score of the day, that's 61.66. Unfortunately, it will not move her up. So we move on to Sakura Yosizumi. She's in second place with that 83.33. Is there any catching Sabre Norris here on her third and final run?
I don't know. She kind of threw down the gauntlet when she busted out of McTwist, and as we said, she's only the third female to ever do that. So she might have solidified that one with that 90.66. However, Sakura here, she was on the bubble. She was in that number 4 position, and by virtue of her second run, that bumped her up into the number 2 position as of right now. That frontside ollie, ever so slightly slapping the tail on re-entry into the transition. Faking nose blunt.
Sakura has to be feeling good right now, sitting in second as the top 4 will be advancing.
Backside nose blunt to revert out the hard way. She went all the way around on that. Wowzers. And that was tech. She did get into a little bit of a situation there where she kind of used that part of the course as a mini ramp. However, that was super tech. Frontside ollie with a little bit of a tail smack there. Follows it up with a frontside Smith grind.
Jimmy,
there's that backside nose blunt, and then it comes all the way around the hard way.
I think that was her best run of the day. Yeah, and the score suggests that as well. An 86.33, not enough to catch Norris, but really cemented into that second spot. She's got to be feeling really good for her chances to move on.
And further solidifying her presence.
Indiara Osp, she's sitting in third, so she's in that top 4. Of course, some big names behind her yet to drop in for their third and final runs. She would love to give herself a little bit of breathing room.
Well, with her mentor, Pedro Barros, who we've talked about a couple of times, he's got some hard charging park skills, so now's the time to try to channel some of that. Try to give yourself some breathing room. Bryce Wetstein's not too far behind her with an 80 flat. Indy's best score was an 81.66 from round number 2. But don't forget, you got Hana Zanzi sitting outside with a 78.66 and Nicole Haas still to go. Backside ollie up that hip, getting up on that tall wall ride. Needs to hang on for about 16 more seconds here. Frontside ollie transfer up the furrow. There's that crail slide again. Saw her add that into the mix in round number 2 with a frontside bonus riding right down on the hip portion of things. And oh, she tries to go over the love seat there. She has to jump off. So she is not going to be able to best that round number 2 score, and hope that is going to hold up, Brandon.
Yeah, absolutely. Sitting in that third spot. She was announced just a couple of months ago as one of 4 skaters to represent Brazil in the women's skateboard park in the 2020 Tokyo Olympics, and you can see why.
Layback air again. 3 for 3 on those out here today. Making the layback air look good. And a crail slide. Going frontside, sliding on your tail with your trailing hand grabbing across the front of the board.
A 76.66, so now she's got to sit and wait. If it ended right now, she'd be moving on to Minneapolis, but there's still some big names to drop in who are on the outside looking in.
Oh yeah, this is far from over. And again, going back to what I said with Hana.
Cody Tamanaha, sitting in 8th place. A 61 on run number 1, a 76 on run number 2. She'll need at least an 80 to crash that top 4.
Well, she's going to have to take a page out of some of the other girls' books here that we've seen and add some new tricks into the line if she's going to try to jump up and crack into that top 4. There's a big, lofty frontside air for Cody. Frontside disaster into the rock and roll. She's got a good flow. She's staying with the same line that she pretty much used throughout the qualification process yesterday to the backside lip slide there.
And you've seen her score climb from a 61 to a 76. Is this going to be enough? Is the difficulty factor going to be enough to jump her into the top 4?
There's that frontside Smith grind to a revert. She goes switch stance there. So coming up here, there's that shove it, hang up. That's pretty much what she did in round number 2. So it might be an improvement. If it is, it's going to be slight. It's not going to bust her into the 80s.
And that's what she would need to at least catch Bryce Wetstein sitting in that bubble spot.
That rock and roll slider over the love seat. Tuck knee on the front side there. Looking stylish and deep in there right here. I love this one. The frontside Smith. Revert that one out. You're coming around a complete 180 out of the frontside Smith. So you're coming down backwards.
And an identical score to run number 2. We said how comparable it was. Another 76 for Cody. Zanzi was in that top 4 until Wetstein in attempt number 2 knocked her out. She's currently outside the door trying to get back in. And she was going for it, Jimmy.
Well, that's what you got to do. You got to take some risks. You got to throw some different things into your line, and that's what she was trying to do right there. As you said, she was in the top 4. Bryce had bumped her down into 5th.
She'll go for it one more time, it looks like, Jimmy, and it just gets away from her.
Kickflip, frontside grab. That's just, like I said earlier, she's all or nothing. She's going for first or worst. That's her attitude. And even though she knows that it's not going to get her to the top 4 after the first fall, she still gets back up. That's for her, and that's for the fans out here.
That's just gut-wrenching, though, to be in that top 4, at least through the first 2 runs, to get knocked out and to be so close. The time's out. She wants to do this one for the fans here in Boise.
There it is. That's just her attitude. It's like, well, it's not going to get me to that top 4. I'm not leaving unless I make this.
A fan favorite, certainly. Hannah Zanzi, just a tough one, though, to be in that 5th place spot when only 4 make it in.
Yeah, that is a tough break for her, for sure, especially when it was in that top 4.
Look, this was about a minute after her run officially expired, but she does right away.
She gets the kick flip, but then grabs frontside, throws it under her feet.
Man, that is clean.
3rd time was the charm there. Unfortunately, that is not going to get her one of those 4 invites up for grabs to Minneapolis.
So we turn our attention to Bryce Wetstein. So here's Bryce Wetstein. She's currently holding on to that 4th and final elimination spot. Right now, she would be moving on to Minneapolis, but some big names still to drop in. Nicole Haas, Lizzie Armanto. She's got to lay it out right now and give herself a little bit of breathing room, Jimmy.
Well, you'd see that smile. She's got a fire lit under her now after what she did in round number 2. So definitely that 2nd run score, it definitely took some of the pressure off. So see, she kind of calmed down a little bit when she started off this run. Let's see if this can bump her up. That best run score she's got is an 80 flat. We're working our way towards the final 10 seconds here for Bryce, coming back into the deep end here. There's that 50-50 to Fakey scratching through that pool coping, coming in backwards.
There's only 3 skaters who could potentially catch Wetstein for that 4th spot.
So she changed it up a bit there. The tail stall revert. Trying to come up backwards for that Fakey 360. I believe, it's hard to tell with the shadows that she grabbed backside on that one. Let's see if we get that one in the replay. Look at this, from 50-50 through the pool coping, slide that one down, coming backwards there. And that fall was right at the buzzer. I don't know, I'm gonna say that the number 2 score is gonna be the one that sticks.
You called it, a 76. She'll hold on to her 80, and now it's the waiting game for Bryce Wetstein.
Yeah, with 4.
There you see Jagger Eaton showing her some love. He'll be skating a little later today in the men's park qualifier.
Yeah, with 4 skaters left to go, only 3 of them are not in.
So here's Lizzie Armanto. She was a favorite of ours to qualify into X Games Minneapolis. Right now, Jimmy, she's sitting in 9th place. She's got to put it all out on the line right now. Would need at least an 80 to jump into that top 4.
All right, so she starts off a little different this time around, goes for the lean to tail. So you're going front side, grabbing on the nose, smack the tail of the board on lip as you come back into the transition. So she's using a slightly different line here, trying to change it up. I like the strategy that she's going with here, Brandon.
She had a clean 2nd run. We just wondered if there were enough tricks featured.
So there's that feeble grind to Fakey over that love seat. So that's different. So comes into the Fakey hang up, kicks that to Smith. So 2 tricks in one, and the finger flip,
and she gets it.
Yes, the finger flip lean to tail, and that back flip was a little squirrely, but she resets as she comes down the vert.
Oh, no!
Front side invert.
On the final trick right before the buzzer, Jimmy.
After all of that, it's the frontside invert. She just came in a little too compressed.
It was so good, so tech. Even with that fall at the end, Jimmy, could that potentially be enough given the difficulty and the execution prior to that last trick to jump her up?
That was the feeble grind. Watch this, the finger flip, lean to tail. Watch where that back foot is. It heels in the middle of the board. You see how she just had to do a little slide on the grip tape there, going through the flat. This one's going to be tough. I guarantee you the judges are
Bryce
talking this one over.
Wetstein is sitting in that fourth and final bubble spot. That last qualifying spot, she would need at least an 80 to jump up into the top 4, and she doesn't get it, a 75.66. Clearly the judges wanted to see a clean run from start to finish, Jimmy.
Going back to what we said earlier, you're going to need a complete 45 seconds, and even though it was right at the buzzer there with that frontside invert, and also maybe they felt, obviously they felt that it wasn't enough trick volume in there. She changed up her line.
So with that, we know that Saber Norris and Sakura Yosizumi are guaranteed a spot 1 and 2. No one can touch them, with just 2 skaters left to drop in here today for their 3rd and final attempts. And of course, Saber Norris will be the last one to anchor this thing, but she's our overall leader. So here's Nicole Haas, sitting in 6th place. Can she catch Bryce Wetstein and jump into the final 4?
All right, so skating with a little more fire, a little more intensity here in this 3rd and final round. Look how fast she's flowing through the course. She comes zooming off of that wall right feature there with a good clip of speed down here into the deep end of the backside air. Bryce Wetstein's gonna have to watch biting her nails here for our next 2 skaters. There's a big backside ollie again, Brandon. She is 3 for 3 on those out here this afternoon.
I don't know who you'd rather be at this point, Bryce Wetstein or Nicole Haas, going massive!
Alley-oop into air. She's grabbing with her trailing hand. She's drifting the opposite direction she's turning. And that's a new one out of her as well.
Jimmy, that was so heavy. How was the air up there, Nicole?
And there's the,
oh my goodness. That was after the buzzer.
The front side air.
No one is flying out of this pool higher than Nicole Haas.
Okay, the backside air right there. That hand looked like it wanted to grab again, but that was the backside ollie. And this was the alley-oop indie. Grabbing with your trailing hand, you're drifting. She's drifting right, she's turning left.
And good thing she had a helmet on. I thought she might hit her head on the freeway overpass.
Grabbing the nose on the fakie 360 there, the Les twist.
Was it enough? Needs over an 80 to jump up into the top 4 and knock out Wetstein.
Well, that is a nail-biter moment right now for Bryce. And if it's not going to be enough, she's going to have to do this all over again.
It is an 81.33. Haas jumps up into the top 4. Wow, knocking out Bryce Wetstein on her final attempt.
Well, Nicole getting a high five from her dad right there.
So she's in the top 4 for the time being. There is one skater who could potentially bump her, and she's dropping in now. Grace Marhofer, she's sitting in 7th place. Our top 3 are safe. Saber Sakura and Indiara Osp. They're all moving on to Minneapolis. Will Nicole? We find out right here, right now. Can Grace Marhofer drop into that top 4 part?
It all comes down to this last 45 seconds, because the person sitting in that number 1 position is already guaranteed a spot. So can Grace get it done here? Needs an 81.33 or better. She was your number 2 qualifier coming into this. Frontside disaster up on the vert while they're taking it back into the rounded.
So far, a clean run, Jimmy.
To get that tuck knee invert again, poking that back leg out. There's the tuck knee eggplant. So 2 different invert combos here in this run for Grace.
And again, you saw her glance over to look at the clock to see how much time she had left before that final attempt.
You know, good on her. When you're zooming through the flat bottom like that, you look up just to check the time clock there. It's the backside air. Rounded wall. Goes up to a bean plant, jumps through to a backside boneless. Little 2-in-1 combo move there on the foot plant. Watch that back leg. Not as extended as we saw from her on that trick the last 2 runs, but this one, the tuck knee eggplant. You're grabbing with your trailing hand, you're planting with your lead hand.
And her run 3 score coming in at a 79, so it's not enough to jump up into the top 4. So our qualifying group is officially set. Nicole Haas taking that 4th and final spot on her last attempt. Wow. But we still do have 1 skater left to drop. Our top-ranked qualifier, our current leader, Saber Norris, absolutely setting this course on fire.
She gets to take us out of competition here. Your #1 qualifier.
Excited to see what she has in store after what she did in run number 2. I mean, this is a victory lap for the 13-year-old.
And there's that McTwist again. That one looks possibly better than the first one.
That was cleaner than on her 2nd attempt. Wow.
As we said before, she did that trick at just 9 years old, and when she did that at age 9, she became the 3rd female ever to do that. Alana Smith has done it, and Lindsay Adams Hawkins, the other 2 that have done the 540.
And let's not forget, more than just qualifying for Minneapolis here today, she's setting the tone for when she does get there. Lest we forget, Brighton Zoyner put this entire field on notice at the qualifier last year at 12 years old, and Saber Norris is doing just that here in 2018.
And this last chunk of this run has all been switch. That's a switch frontside disaster. She did that switch blunt grab 180 out. And again, her normal stance, she's regular footed, so her left foot is forward. You see that right foot forward, that's skating backwards for her.
Saber, are you regular? Yes. Are you goofy? Yes.
She makes it look so easy. She mentioned earlier she was doing this for the Legends and siblings, by the way. Legends is what Saber calls her YouTube fans channel. Saber Norris and the Norris Nuts. She's got over 450,000 followers.
The Norris Nuts, I love that.
Yeah. Many is 4 million views. 13 years old, she's got many is 4 million views.
I said on her first attempt how she was the youngest to ever compete at a WSL event. For those out there watching who maybe don't know surfing, that's World Surfing League. That is professional surfing at the highest caliber that she competed in 2 years ago, in 2016. Just a multi-talented young lady, and that is our final standings. You see our top 4, Saber Norris, Sakura Yokozumi, Indiara Asp, and Nicole Haas saving her best for last, grabbing that 4th and final spot from Bryce Wetstein. Wow, what a day for women's skateboarding here at the Road to X Games at Rhodes Skatepark in Boise, Idaho. And it's also got to be noted, there are some big names that are on the outside looking in.
And after you're done with your interview, come over here for another award presentation.
Well, let's head down to Diana, who's with Saber.
3 solid runs, hailing from Australia, down under. Saber Norris, you've got to be on cloud 9 heading into Minneapolis this summer.
Oh, I'm so stoked. I'm just happy that I know that my siblings, Socky, Biggie, and Naz, are at home watching this, and we're going to have another brother soon. So I'd like to dedicate this to my brother yet to be born.
That's right, your mom's watching all the way from Australia. Did you expect to do this good coming into a lineup this solid?
No.
She didn't. Well, she did it 3 times, 3 solid rounds. Brando, Jimmy, I'm going to let you guys take it away.
Wow, thank you, Diana. Just the modesty from this young lady and the wherewithal, dedicating it to her soon-to-be-born brother. What a story.
I'd say she's giving props to the family in both of her interviews.
Oh, my goodness. She could come here into the booth and give us a lesson, man. That was just very, very polished. What a performance from top to bottom. Again, our top 4, Saber Norris, Sakura Yokozumi, Indiara Asp, and Nicole Haas. They'll be moving on to compete at X Games Minneapolis next month.
Look at that. Big twist coming out of that, just barely sliding that one around.
Just such a special day for skateboarding, and I love that so many of these ladies saved their best for last. Nicole Haas, again, what more can you say is now the guys are starting to take over practice as they're getting ready for their event. I love that Nicole Haas had to come out, lay it all on the line. We had to wait there patiently as the judges put that score on, and just knocking out Bryce Wetstein.
You could see it in her eyes when she dropped in for that third and final run, just the intensity that she had coming down there for the early part of the run there. She knew she needed to get it done, and she was not letting up. That alley-oop in the air that she did was absolutely massive. Also, I want to give a shout out to Bryce Wetstein, because for her to jump up there and bump Hannah Zanzi down and hold on to that number 4 position. I know it was a tough break for her. You could see the look on her face as well when they announced the score for Nicole, but I want to give a shout out to Bryce, because she was hanging on. You know, she changed up the line. She did what she needed to do to at least crack into that top 4.
No, well said, and to be right there the whole time and then just get knocked out, and you don't even have another attempt to defend yourself and go out there. 14 years old, making your X Games debut, get out of town. That was super impressive. Well, let's head down to Diana, who's going to hand out some, not necessarily medals, but passes to the young ladies who are moving on to Minneapolis.
That's right. We have a solid lineup, and not to mention international as can be. 4 amazing ladies putting in solid runs here today. Nicole Haas, 4th qualifying spot, and local to Minnesota. Give a big round of applause. The wonderful Jack Matroni handing out their passes. And coming in 3rd, Indiara Asp from Brazil. And coming in 2nd here today in Boise, Sakura Yosozumi from Japan. And the big qualifier here today, hailing from Australia, 3 solid runs, Saber Norris. Brando, Jimmy, I'm going to let you talk about these 4 amazing, talented ladies.
Can I just say thank you, Diana, that Saber Norris with a license plate, it'll be 3 years before she can even use that.
Hey, you know, foreshadowing.
What a day out here to our 4 as they move on to X Games Minneapolis. It was the Saber Norris show all day long, our top-ranked qualifier. 4 women from 3 different countries making it into our top 4, but Jimmy, a great showing across the board.
Yeah, what a great day of competition, and man, foreshadowing to come for Minneapolis. I can't wait to see what Saber Norris puts down when she goes up against last year's gold medalist Brighton Zorner, but a great day of women's competition here from Boise, Brandon.